Hey guys, it's Judy, and what I'm going to do today is kind of go over a little bit what to expect in one of the paint parties that I'm doing. Hope what I'm going to do today will help you understand it's so easy to do. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the tools that will be made available to you during the time we paint. And my goal is to send everybody home with a door hanger that they can actually put on the door when they get home. So I'm going to have to mount this on my tripod here, which may rattle a little bit. So hopefully you don't get too seasick in the process. Now, one of the first things that each person's going to get is what they call a blank. And it's blank because it's not painted. Now, I buy mine all from the same place, but we are looking into making our own some point in the future. These are not only cut by laser, but they actually have the design lasered onto them. So you're going to follow a pattern that you'll be given, like this, and we'll talk through each stage of the painting process. It is my goal to have the holes pre-drilled, and so at the end, when it's completely dry, each person can pick whatever ribbon it is that they want to put on their door hanger, and then we can attach it, and you can walk away with a dry door hanger ready to use. So this is your template, and this is probably, when you're paying the fee for the class, this is what you're paying the most of the money for. I do get discounts, so if you want to do a party of 10 or more, I get discounts on that, so we can always work on what that cost would be. So I'm going to work going to my left. Now, one of the things I do when I have a project like this, I will get a basket like this, and I'm going to give you information on the vendor that I buy these things from, because one of the things they do is they also give you a list of the things that you're going to need for it. Now, I will give you a word of caution. If you're picking up an older pattern or an older design, the paints that they recommend may not be available. The next thing that you have here is, yes, it's an ice cube tray, but guess what? It has where you're going to take whatever little piece or little drop of paint that you're going to start with, you're going to put it in here, and let me show you why. Because when I get ready to clean these things at the end of class, I'm not creating more trash to be thrown out, but I can literally just do this and pull it out and throw it away. So that's why I use the ice cube tray. Next up you have, this is just, any container will do for this. This is just a container of water, but notice the water's only this deep. This is for cleaning your brushes. Here's another hint. You don't want to go real deep with water for your paint brushes. Why? Because once it gets into the wooden part, it can start to deteriorate the structure of your brush. So, and you don't want to leave it soaking overnight either. So we're going to use that the whole time we're painting. The next thing you have is baby wipes. Why? Because when you take that orange and you paint over the green, assuming that the green is still wet, or when you take the green and paint it over the orange, assuming the green is still wet, you can take a baby wipe and gently wipe on it, and it'll take that overlap off. What's next? Well, the next is the paints. Now, you saw that there was a list of paints that it says to use. I use the DecoArt Americana paint. And because I belong to this painting club online, and I'll send you all the information if you are interested, I get discounts at DecoArt when I buy them online. You can get these from Hobby Lobby. One this size runs about $2.50, so they're not real expensive. But I will tell you, always shake it before you do it, because just like ketchup and mustard, water comes to the top of them, and so you'd end up with a mess. So these are all the paints that are required for this pattern. You will be given a set of brushes during the course, not given, but allowed to use a set of brushes during the course of the paint party. And what I'm going to do is I will use the brushes that are most comfortable for me, and you can start out with that and then maybe switch and see which ones feel better for you. Everybody paints a different way, so we're going to start out with the same pattern, but everybody may approach it differently. Now, not with this pattern, but there are a couple of design styles that are available. One of them is like an aged plank look, so it's got like pieces of wood through it, and then you age it with a brush. You use this tape to set the lines for your planks, whether you're going up and down or left and right. Also, if you're interested in doing a design that has a buffalo plaid of any kind on it, then this would work to help you design that, and it's really easy to do. So if you ever want to do a paint party and you want to do something that has buffalo plaid or the plank look on it, we'll be using the frog tape for that. You'll also have at your access a hair dryer. Why? Well, we don't expect you to come with wet hair. But if you're going to do a two-part design, so for instance, this has got a lighter base coat, and then you're going in with this darker coat, and then you're coming in with this middle coat. Well, you can't paint one on top of the other while they're wet. Or this is black and white. You can't paint one on top of the other while it's wet. So what you have to do is get it dry and then go back and fix it. And then go and paint the next part. And so we'll use the hair dryer to do that. And then the one thing I don't have up here is ribbon, but depending on what pattern we're doing at the time, I may have 3 or 4 options available, so you can pick the ribbon that's most that helps you the most. The other thing you see up here is lacquer and varnish. Now, here's the hint. I don't have them here, but once you get used to doing this, if you want to do some of the fine detail, for instance, see the little lines drawn here? If you wanted to do that with a paint pen, well, you cannot use a brush-on varnish after that because it will smear the paint pen. So at that point, you have to take it outside, shake this up vigorously for, I don't know, half an hour. It's not that long, but it feels like it. And then you just spray the whole top. And that will keep the ink pen in top from leaking. So basically, this is everything that is there. Now, I always have a paper towel handy, and I will have probably rolls of paper towel on your table. You get the brush wet. There's only one time where you don't get the brush wet, and that's when you're doing that antique look, or the plank look that I was talking about. So the brush is damp. It's not soaking wet. I always get the rest of that extra water off. Now, I'm going to start with the middle, and as you can see from the pattern, it's orange. So basically, you're going to take and put just a little bit, not a lot, of orange in here. You can always put more in, but it's a pain in the neck to take it out and put it back in the bottle. So what I tell people is just put a little in. Now, each workstation may not have all the paints. I may ask you to share, every 2 people share. They're $2.50, but when you've got 10 or 15 people there, then that's a lot of bottles of paint. So then you just take it in. And one of the things to remember is if you get too much paint on the brush and you're worried that it's going to glob up along the line, then start by brushing away from the line. And then you just simply follow the line when you paint. Now, quite often these paints are transparent. And so what ends up happening is you can see through them. And and then you, so you may need 2 or maybe, especially on the lighter color paints, you may need 2 or 3 coats of it. And that's another reason why you'd use the hair dryer, so that you can get on with getting that color finished. So it takes quite a bit of paint, Now, I don't pour it directly onto this to do the painting, because what do you do with it when you've got too much? So basically, you're just following the line and filling it in. Now we're going to do some shading techniques on it that I may not do in this video, because it's kind of boring to watch paint dry, which is what you are literally doing. Oh, the other thing I didn't describe to you is my fancy dollar store tablecloth. This is just simply a tablecloth from the Dollar Tree, and I cut it in parts. I find that I really do need 2 layers just because it's heavier. Now, don't worry about getting it perfect on the first pass. And remember too, it doesn't have to be perfect anyway. It's your art. And most people are not going to be looking at it with a critical eye. They're going to be going, wow, you did that? So this is basically how you do this. I can tell you now I'm going to have to add more orange to it. And they had called for the color pumpkin orange, which I didn't find. So I'm using the color spice pumpkin. I also have jack-o'-lantern orange too, which I have used on some other things. So you just keep going and you follow the lines. Now remember what I said, if you get to a part where you feel like you've overlapped, which I do it when I get self-assured. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm going, oh, I got this. It's kind of like when I used to bowl. When I used to bowl, I had a low average, but I had a consistent average. So as long as everybody else did their part, we did pretty good. So you're just going to wrap it around, because this leaf is going to be green, and you just follow it around. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but just pay attention when you pick it up and put it down, whether you're hitting it. So see, I did get into the green leaf right there. And so what I'm going to do is grab a baby wipe. I'm getting ready to have to pour some more orange in there. Now, once you start doing this on a regular basis, you may decide that you actually just want to pour the paint directly onto the surface. But I find that this is better. So do this. I'm going to grab a Huggy or a wet wipe, whatever. They say, what I do is I buy them in bulk. So you simply just, I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't want to slide. Now, some people will also wear an apron, but see, all you do is just take it and get it right along that spot where you got it, where you didn't want it, and you wipe it off. Now, if what you lapped over is going to be much lighter, for instance, if this was beige and it was going to be lighter than my part here, I wouldn't even worry about it, because I'm going to be painting over it. So it's not going to make any difference. So again, just a little more paint. So you saw I got half the pumpkin done just with that first little squirt. And so this is what you're going to be doing in my classes. You're going to be learning how to take it to the next level. And now this is pre-printed. One of the things I want to do, it'd probably be for those people who have been to my basic class, which it would be this one, is I want to show you how you can do this on any piece of wood. And how to trace a pattern on it. There are a lot of places where you can get free patterns. And then you can tweak them. And what you basically do is you take, well, I call it carbon paper. Today's people call it something else. But you take basically your pattern and you tape it to your surface, so you tape it to this. And then you stick carbon paper between the pattern and your surface. And you simply draw the pattern, draw all the lines on your pattern, and then when you pick it up, all the lines are there. Now, you do that. You have to pay attention to whether some things have to be done before you paint or after. So, for instance, the buffalo plait I was talking about, or the plank part that I was talking about, some of the pattern may have to be drawn on after. There's my husband's cell phone, and I don't answer his cell phone. It's probably junk mail anyway. So basically, see, I have that little ridge of paint there. That's what I was talking about earlier. So I probably will go through and touch this up again. I'm going to drop it in here. And basically all you're doing when you're changing paint colors, you're just daubing it in here until it looks clean. And then you do this on the paper, and see, there's still a lot of orange on there. So you're going to daub it some more. The water's going to get dirty, so you're going to have to change it quite a bit during the class, so everybody will have access. If it's here at my house, you'll have access to my kitchen or the bathroom if you want to do it that way. Okay, that looks pretty clear. But you can see how easy it was. I've already done that part of the door hanger. So I am going to have to come back and do that, but I'm going to have to dry this before I put a second layer on, because I don't want it to smear. And so that's why you will have hair dryers. You'll probably be sharing between two people. But you can see it's drying pretty well right now. Now, in the event I knew I was going to do a second coat, I wouldn't put the brush in the water. There'd be no reason to rinse it out. It's getting there. Now, where I had it thicker on there, then it's taking a little longer to dry. But you can't do the next layer until you get this layer dry. Or you shouldn't, because all it's going to do is mush together. And especially where your pattern has multiple colors, like it does on the sides here, those colors will run together and make a mess. Okay, so that's all we do to dry it. And it doesn't take but about that long. So I can either go back and do that, or I can do either of the sides. I think I may do one of the sides just to show you that. Again, shaking up the paint every time. And then I just pick another piece, another hole here. Now the neat thing about this, is if you decide to do this at home, is that these come with plastic covers. And it will keep the paint usable for at least a day. So if you start a project and you decide you want to come back and do some more, then you can save the paint instead of having to figure out getting it back in the tube or the bottle. There are different kinds of acrylic paints. This is acrylic paint. It's very forgiving. And I didn't have the color that they called for. Again, it's an older pattern, and sometimes with their older patterns, they don't always have it, don't have that same exact deco art color. Another thing that they have is the lady who runs the Doorhanger place where I took my classes has an arrangement with Deco Art, and that's why we get the discount. And but she also has an Amazon store for the things that she recommends that are not available through either her website or through the others. Now, if you have a laser, the neat thing about the laser is that it when you buy the pattern, if you have a laser, you can let it burn the pattern right into your material. And when you buy the pattern from them, which is significantly less cost than the blanks, when you buy the patterns from them, then you get downloadable files that you can use on your laser, on most laser machines. I don't have one of those, and I don't have a place to put it, and they're quite expensive, so I'm not sure that I'll ever have one, but at least I can get some discounts shopping on her site. But back to a couple of things that I was talking about earlier, you can buy just the patterns and then print them out to the size piece you want, and there's math involved if you don't get the right size, so maybe you get the one for the 18-inch, but you need a 10-inch, then you do the math to figure out what percentage that represents, and then when you go to put it on take your original and put it on your printer, then you're going to use that math. Now, I'm not worried. I have gone over a couple of places here, and I'm not worried about that because we are going to be shading right along that. And I do need to get some more paint. And this will definitely get a second layer because it's a much lighter color paint. But like I said, when you get done, you will walk out with a fully completed door hanger, because on my first project, whatever I do, it won't involve pins. So you'll be able to use the paint on sealer. And in the second class that I do with my first group, if they're interested, I'll show you how you can take any pattern and copy it onto a piece of wood. Now, I'm going to caution you about some things. Just because you find a pattern online that you really like, if you're planning on doing this for sale, you need to obtain your patterns legally, because you can't sell copyrighted things like Disney and Harry Potter and that type of thing if you haven't gotten it legitimately. You can't just go find a picture and download it, because all Disney things are copyrighted, Harry Potter things are copyrighted, and they will, if they see it, they will issue a cease and desist order on you. So who needs that kind of trouble, right? So I've done my first pass. Clearly going to need a second pass. But you see, as far as layers go, I've already got, I would call it half the base done as far as first pass. So it's easy enough to do, and I would be happy to have you join one of my classes in the future. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to let that air dry while I turn the camera off and get it downloaded. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. Bye.